Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 103 of the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. Again, slight 4-week delay in between 102 and 103. We have sacked our HR department, who are no doubt making TikTok videos, as everyone in HR department seems to be doing, who allowed us both to go on 2-week holidays 2 weeks apart. So that's led to the delay. Both of us have actually been in countries with tournament football. Funny enough, one of us was a little bit more involved in the tournament football experience. One of us was slightly less involved, but I'll get to that later on. So, of course, this week we are going to be talking all about the Euros. My co-host John here was across there for the brief moment that Scotland were participating in the tournament, but was able to make all three cities, as well as one or two extra visits as well. So we'll talk about the match experience there, and we will also be talking about this week was a bit of light relief wearing kits abroad when on holiday. It is the summer holidays right now, so wanted to talk a little bit about the mentality that people have bringing kits abroad. It's a very big topic and something that people I think take a lot of time over, so we will discuss that. Anyway, joining myself this week, perhaps not as jet lagged as I am, but certainly with a bit of German beer aftertaste probably still in his mouth.
No, suffering greatly.
Suffering greatly. There you go. It is John. How are you, John?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm still here. So it's a start.
Cool. Starting on a positive note. And me, Paul. So, if you enjoy this episode, by the way, like and subscribe to the various platforms. It helps us out. We are available on YouTube, all good platforming podcasts, podcast platforms, as well on social media, Instagram and Facebook as well. So, let's get straight into things, shall we?
Yes.
So, I've seen some of your social media posts, John, of your experience in Germany, but we haven't actually had a chance to speak about it yet. So, I did see this week that you actually bought a Germany top.
I have. Yep.
Which I think is quite rare for you to take a wee sentimental purchase, which this seems to be.
Yeah, and full list price as well, which is an even bigger shock to the system. I bought that at 90 plus 4 minutes in the England-Spain game.
Oh, did you? Yeah, we knew it would be a tournament to remember after that. We will get to that at some point as well. Also has been described as the greatest experience of your life so far.
So far. Well, you never know what might happen.
So John's future child. That is what you've got to live up to. That
is the Simpsons movie kind of mantra. Mm-hmm. The greatest of your life so far.
Yes. So, to sort of sum up your experience, we kind of talked about this before, but for people who haven't heard about it, haven't seen it yet, you managed to go to 2 out of the 3 Scotland games.
Yep.
You went, of course, first to Scotland versus Germany, so we'll get into that experience a wee bit later. And you went to Scotland versus Hungary.
Yeah, I picked the worst 2 games to go to.
I don't know.
I didn't pick. I was fortunate or unfortunate enough.
Yes. And we also had a bit of Scotland versus Switzerland in there as well, which you were... Where was that? Was that in Dortmund?
No. Yeah, that was in Cologne.
That was in Cologne. So
there's a kind of Scotland only fan park kind of set up for us.
So you have visited Munich, Cologne, Stuttgart was the last Scotland game, and then you were in Dusseldorf for Slovakia against Ukraine.
Slovakia against Ukraine. Yep, I was in Dusseldorf. We had day trips to Dortmund and to Koblenz as well.
Right.
For a kind of random
culture
day trip. Yeah, culture
there
day.
Was lots of nice pictures of some nice German architecture. There was a lot of beer and cocktails in every single thing I saw.
Yep.
But there was nice wee sort of sample ones. Have you come home with a new favourite German beer at all? Did any in particular stand out?
I mean, I'm still partial to Grünig Pilsner, which is the kind of Duisburg kind of local brew. That's still my favourite.
Okay.
Still my favourite. Yeah. No, still... Okay. It's top.
Tough to say.
There's a lot to choose from, to be fair, but yeah, that's...
Contrastingly, I spent 2 weeks in Orlando, Florida. Very cultured place. I think we'll all know about that. Best beer I came across was Norway had a nice Pilsner in Epcot.
Oh, lovely.
Disneyland. Very refreshing, yes. Their beer's funny. It's much fresher. It's definitely not as strong as the German stuff that you were probably on. But similarly, I was in the land of Copa America. Of which I was not aware North American teams are taking part for the first time.
And a lot of controversy.
Qatarish, although they didn't qualify.
They did not. No.
I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know, it seems to have been a big plus for the tournament. We'll say more about that later, but the good thing about the time difference was you basically would roll out of a Euros game and into a Copa America game.
Yeah, I mean, they were kicking off 1 a.m. local time here in the UK.
So it was about 7 o'clock.
I seen nothing, absolutely nothing off it.
It was quite exciting. They don't do extra time. Interesting. So
like the Premier Sports Cup,
which we might get to later. I don't think anyone really cares about the Premier Sports Cup anymore. We did back in the day, but
back in the day,
yeah, not anymore. So what was the experience like from a sort of fan's perspective? There seems to be a lot of positivity.
100%.
Around the Scotland fans in particular. I've seen some Germans literally are booking trips to Scotland because of the bond that they have formed.
I mean, they're going to be massively disappointed when they get here, but yeah, it's a funny one. I mean, they can only be characterised as the best 2 weeks of my life for ruined by 270 minutes of football, basically, in the Scotland games.
Yes.
I suppose you can look at you can put that to one side, and you look at what Germany is as a country. It's amazing. I mean, genuinely, it's so underrated as a destination for summer travels. Climate's quite good. It's never too warm. A couple of kind of rainy days, which actually, kind of speaking to the locals, was a bit unusual. It's
okay.
Kind of June, July time. It should kind of be mid-20s and relatively sunny. So, we brought the weather with us, which was good. Lovely things to see. Loads of old castles. Lots of history.
We have lots of old castles here as well, by the way.
Nah, it's not the same. It's just not the same. Like, the food's amazing. Everybody's really friendly, which is quite quite welcome as a surprise. It's really easy to get around. Like there's actually a BBC article, and I think it's kind of like bitter because it's an English article. Sort of journalist probably has been writing it.
Okay. Basically
slating how bad Deutsche Bahn was. We never really had a problem. Like there was a lot of pressure put on that system.
Yeah.
It coped as well as it could. I thought it was great. I mean, we could literally bounce around the country for about €50 for the month. Yeah, you never imagine doing that in the UK.
No.
Ever. You just would never get it.
I think the taxi from the airport in Orlando was more money than that.
I mean, for 2 weeks in regional travel, whatever region you ended up in, €50. And that was it. That was a flat rate.
And can't complain.
No one really came round and checked tickets either, so it's a bit like, I wouldn't risk it for a biscuit, but I found that kind of quite funny as well. There's no automated barriers at the train stations or anything. That's all
just an honesty system. The Germans will be honest with the public transport, of course.
It's publicly owned, I think, as well. So
that's good. We're about to have that too. Potentially.
Terrific. That was class. Like, really, really good. I'm devastated to be back. I'm still not really over it. I don't think I ever will be. Sad.
Did the Sofamanager flag make it all the way to the third game, or did it eventually?
It did. Yeah.
Good for it.
I managed to bring it home.
Did you?
Yes, still got it.
Part of me hoped it had remained in Germany because there'd be a little bit of Sofamanager, and presumably they'll watch the podcast avidly so that when our museum is set up in future, for the significance that we bring to society.
Next time we're going to put a QR code on it.
That would have been... Okay, wait. But how do you print a QR code to iron onto a Scotland?
I don't know.
I would actually quite like to know how everyone does it, because there are some really big ones.
Some of them are fantastic. I mean, you can order them, and there's these kind of the kind of obscure companies that make the pin badges.
Yes,
make the flags as well. So I dare say just it's kind of custom order. They cost a lot of money, I think.
Okay. Well, no, it certainly looked very exciting. Different cities, different days. I did find it funny because I think you were in Cologne and you were mentioning some of your friends were quite impressed with the cathedral in Cologne, and I'm like, but the cathedral's like the thing. How can you not be impressed by the cathedral? So no, very jealous to be on the sidelines. From a footballing perspective,
do we have to?
We have to. I've not really heard much chat around this because all the chat's obviously been focused around England and the sort of teams that have been in it. What did you make of the performance or lack thereof?
Right, I mean, you take it game by game. First game, I left just as Rudiger's own goal was going in because I was so minging and drunk and hungover and just had to get out of there. I had a German guy console me. But about 4-1, he was like, at least you got to go. And I was like, I got to go, mate. I've got to go. I'm done. I'm checked out. I'm away.
It's not even really your goal, but okay.
I was away with it. I drank far too much and the heat was just unbearable. The sun came out at like 2 in the afternoon when it was supposed to be overcast all day, so I got baked alive. My head was blistered for a fortnight. I looked like Gorbachev. Like, unbelievable.
Former Russian leader, for all those who aren't aware.
Suffered greatly.
Very liberal, not compared to the current regime.
I mean, as for the game itself, I mean, we looked up for it for the first couple of minutes. You know, like Tierney celebrating, getting the clearance.
Yeah, that
which in hindsight looks horrendous.
The optics post match were not great.
Really, really bad. I can barely remember the game. I just remember looking at the gap between basically what was our kind of back five at the time, and the ability for basically low crosses or basically square passes. The guys that were just standing at the edge of the box, no one marking them. At least 2 or 3 of the goals came from there. Porteous, I have no idea what he was thinking. The challenge he done for the penalty, was absolutely outrageous. At that level, you just don't do that. Or you don't do it at any level really. But
I don't think anyone else that tournament did anything like that.
I think he was like one of the few players to actually get sent off.
I don't recall many.
I just thought that at that point you just knew, we've just capitulated. It wasn't like a kind of bottle job or anything like that. I think we did come out with a game plan, obviously try and contain it, but we had absolutely nothing. Like there was nothing there. The formation you could see straight away wasn't going to work, and you were just it was an inevitable kind of doing.
Yes.
I mean, I think we did quite well to kind of keep it at 5-1. Germany did massively set off in the second half. Like they took their foot off the gas. They knew it was done.
Well, there was that. Oh, what was the name of that striker that I didn't know the name of? Füllkrug. What a strike that! It just boosted it into the top corner.
It kind of rolls off his foot a bit to kind of get the wee bit kind of height to get it on the volley or the half volley.
So it's kind of bugged me about this tournament. A lot of the finishes have been quite low and driven. There's not been some spectacular.
Apart from Yamin Lamal's goal by a long way, and maybe
the one in the semis.
Aye,
yeah, it was.
I
didn't have the power of
top
Füllkrug.
No, Füllkrug was a traditional kind of striker.
What a name for a striker! He's got this Norse power.
Yeah, because he's a fair age as well. I'm sure he's like 30, 31. I think.
Freaking love it. Like
he looked good. And then they brought on sort of Thomas Muller for his kind of song against us as well, which really, that was rubbing salt into the wound.
Oh, well.
Great player, but...
Thank goodness they took off, ironically, the likes of Musiala, who I couldn't get on our Euro or You-Know quiz, who absolutely tore us a new one. So I certainly know who he is now.
Him and Kai Havertz were absolutely unplayable that night. Or to the point where they had all the space in the world, actually. There was no defending against them, no marking, really.
I think... because it was interesting, I was out in Indian for the first half, and then I came home and towards the end of the first half I had it on the radio. It was really good actually on the radio. That's funny as well. In America we get different punditry that you do here. So we had one of the girls with dark hair, can't remember her name. Chiellini was one of the pundits.
Alright.
Apparently he's been playing out there.
Was it Inter Miami or LAFC or something?
He was moving back. Very friendly, very nice guy. Peter Schmeichel was the other one, and Daniel Sturridge, who yes,
you were doing well up to that point.
I know. Bless his soul. He's not. I mean, he's charismatic. He's like he's a sort of diet Micah Richards, and nobody really needs a diet Micah Richards. He actually makes me appreciate Micah Richards a little bit more than I previously did. But some interesting commentary combos as well, because it's basically everything you didn't get. But I was listening to the radio, and the radio was really good because it's Pat Nevin, who I have the utmost respect for. I was slightly surprised to see him in that betting advert taking digs at England being all Spanish. Was that a Paddy Power thing?
It was a Paddy Power one, yeah.
Who was it? Pat Nevin? Oh, Charlie Nicholas.
And Alan Brazil.
Alan Brazil was him, so that was very funny. Yeah, but he was saying Germany knew exactly what we were going to do. Snookered us in every possible way. And I think that was a big problem coming into the tournament, is we really only had one system.
Yes.
And
big time.
there was no plan B. And I think as well, as a school teacher, it felt rather like, when you revise for something, you're a man of education, John, a scholar and a gentleman.
Oh, thank you.
So to speak, when you're like studying for something, you're kind of half doing it. And you do a test and it's gone badly, but you think, it'll be fine. The test will be easy.
It's untimed. Open book. It should be fine.
It'll be fine. And it's not fine. It's really not fine. And you do as well as the revision test indicated. Those friendlies were our revision test saying, no, you're not going to do well here.
Well, this is it. I mean, it was particularly in the first kind of 10-15 minutes of the opening game. was just instant flashbacks to the Finland game at Hampden.
Yes.
And the gaping hole between Tierney and Robertson in that kind of left pocket was just unbelievable, and it was there for the taking every single time. And weird enough, I'm going to jump into the last game. The only time that really got properly closed was when McKenna started playing in that position.
Yes.
Where Tierney should or shouldn't be.
Yes.
World of difference. It just looked so much better. Robertson had a bit more kind of freedom to go further forward. And I actually thought McKenna had a reasonable tournament for...
The only player at the tournament from the Danish league, by the way.
Was he?
In spite of the fact that Denmark are there. How crazy is that?
I just find that kind of curious. But you're absolutely right. There was no plan B. There was no willingness to go a bit more attacking.
Not at all.
You know, like there was just nothing there to kind of go for it. You know, like we were always going to get beaten the first game. I think we can, even though hindsight is 2020, we were probably going to get beaten that game. It was all going to come down to what happens between the Switzerland game and the Hungary game.
Yes.
And I think getting the 1-1 draw with Switzerland, regardless of how far they went in the tournament, how well they did in the tournament, that was probably on target to get that 1 point.
That was probably a bit lucky as well.
A little bit lucky. We were not good in that game at all. Particularly in the first half, it looked ominous.
And then like Mbolo's goal, which they celebrated far too aggressively, by the way, it was quite clearly offside. He didn't need to be offside to do that, though. Like, if he was onside, he was still getting that. He was still scoring that. And then was there not another? Did they not have two chalked off or something like that? I can't remember. We were lucky. We rode our luck, but I think we've come out of this tournament being we've had the lowest number of shots on target.
I mean, highest goal scorer is basically own goal.
Yes, but we've had the least shots on target at a tournament or at a Euros ever. I think us in Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland, who had the same shots on target, went through.
Aye, we'll go to the last 16.
And we should have still. That Hungary game, right? After the game, because I was kind of watching it with my family, and I got up, and I'm not usually like this, but I let out just a sort of just, and I didn't even care at that point. The Armstrong penalty thing, I actually look back at it in hindsight now, and I'm probably more in line with the referee's decision on it. If you're not going for the ball,
what are you doing?
You can get stuffed.
He should have took the shot.
He should have took the shot. And, fantastic for them. But it didn't matter in the end for them either.
Well,
this tournament structure is bizarre, and I actually think we need to shelve this because it's
just straight to quarterfinals.
It's too much, and it's too much on the players as well, because I actually think this tournament has not really been a classic in terms of play. These guys are tired. Like, if you're on a good team, you've gone deep in 3 or 4 competitions.
Yes, my only counter argument to this is, yes, all these players are really tired.
Yes.
Particularly England players. And I think that's why they lost the final. So, long may it continue.
Okay, there we go. I did not like the chat surrounding beating Spain's not for everyone. I was like, well, beating freaking Hungary.
It's not for everyone. Exactly. I mean, they beat England 4-0, and then they beat us.
That's the problem, guys. You beat Spain. You had it. You did not have to play this pedestrian football and just run forward. If there's nothing else on, run forward. That's all you need to do.
I absolutely get Steve Clarke's thought process, particularly getting the point against Switzerland. However lucky it may have been or unlucky, maybe, it was what it was. So you go into that Hungary game and you go, right, well, we don't want to start losing in the first half because it's going to flip it.
No, you cannot think like that.
But,
they were not good.
Yeah, they were bang average. They were as bad as us. Let's be honest.
They were probably worse than us.
They
took the one chance that they had, and the one chance that they had was there was no defence at that time because everyone was up for a corner or something, or a free kick or whatever it was.
They had a good few chances in the game as well. What I'm trying to get is if you get the 0-0 at half time in that Hungary game, at that point it is all or nothing. Mm-hmm. At that point it's all or nothing. You start to bring on Shankland, maybe go 2 up top. You're bringing in guys like Tommy Conway, and you're flying over Louis Morgan for a cameo with 2 minutes to go.
5 minutes or something.
That didn't make any sense. At that point it was literally all or nothing because we weren't going through with 2 points. Never going to happen. So why not just go hell for leather? If you go out with a blaze of glory, so be it. You're going to get remembered for being pumped out of the group stages regardless of what the results actually are. That is bordering on unforgivable. It really is. And that was a sickener. And the 100th minute winner, I mean, you say you had a kind of small moment of frustration. I absolutely lost the plot.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I had a 6'4" Hungarian guy at the end of the game give me a big hug and tell me to calm down.
Really?
Yeah, I was Darren,
You go home with him.
no, I had a train to catch.
Logistics.
Yeah, I left that stadium just screaming. I was
Quite right.
furious. It took a long time to kind of calm down. But when you're back at Stuttgart train station and guys were just sitting in a wee cafe drinking beer at like 1 in the morning, who had obviously been on the sauce all day, which was quite funny looking back at it.
That was the problem, because they're all evening games, really, aren't they? And
I'm just trying to find bottles of Powerade and Twixies and whatever else, like chocolate Twixies.
I haven't seen Powerade in ages.
Yes.
Is that still a thing here?
I don't know, I clocked him. It was literally the only place that was open. This was like a Sunday as well, so everything kind of shutters on a Sunday.
Yeah,
regardless.
you were saying that.
Like this tiny wee cafe must have thought, amazing, I'm going to get rid of all stock. Like just everything. Everybody was buying anything they could get their hands on.
Because it was the only place open.
Any food, any coffee. Like I say, all these bottles of Powerade are just been obviously lying in the fridge for God knows how long. Yep, I'll have 4 of them, please. And like I say, the weather at that point was quite pleasant, so you could sit out at this wee kind of cafe bit at, like I say, like 1, 2 in the morning
and gather your thoughts.
And just, everybody kind of saying the same thing, really. It's devastation. But yeah, the curious question is actually how people feel about the tournament now who were at home for the full 2 weeks.
Yes.
And those guys who were there for the full 2 weeks. Because I'm probably looking at it with a little bit kind of rose tinted glasses going, yeah, we got beat, but I had a great time.
All right.
Doesn't really matter.
Oh, I'm sacking Clarke. That's my position.
This is it. I'm still on the fence about the guy, because I'm like, he did give me the opportunity to go and have a great time. But I think if you're at home, people are absolutely beeling.
Getting there's not a success.
Well,
yes, it is.
It was quite a tough
We
group.
are the only home nation not to have qualified. I think, have Ireland done it? I think, mind the year that everybody did it.
France 2016,
Aye.
Northern Ireland,
Wales.
France, Wales.
We talk about France. They're not a home nation. So basically,
No.
they've all done it, right?
Yeah.
We've still not done it, and we should have done it.
Oh, we're getting a lot of
Like, we cannot. Oh, we're a small. No having it, right? I know we're probably population probably not as big as Hungary, but from a footballing perspective, we have bigger clubs than Hungary. Do Hungary have... Oh, that's nearly a very bad point. I was about to say, do they have a player from Liverpool? Because they do...
Always lie.
Okay, aye.
Yeah.
Is Vardiol, is he Hungarian as well?
God, I thought he was Spanish.
Oh, yeah, maybe he is. I don't know. But, like, they don't have a Robertson. They don't have a McTominay,
Yeah, they don't have guys playing in the English Premier League, of various players playing in the English Premier League.
And the thing that just drives me up the wall is just Clarke is not a good communicator with like media perspective.
I'm just trying to remember. I think I wrote down their team for one of the episodes we did.
Oh, right, okay. While you're going back, I'm going to moan.
Yeah, there we go. Right. So, briefly looking over this, the beyond Willie Orban, who plays for RB Leipzig,
Yeah.
some guy who plays for Bournemouth I've never heard of before, Big Whip. We've got Ryan Christie, who plays for exactly the same kind of level. Slobozai played for Liverpool, so you would compare that to, say, McTominay
And Robertson.
and Robertson, and again, all at Man United.
But they're a
that
bigger
kind of
deal
level.
than he is at Liverpool.
Yeah. They've got a guy who was playing for Philadelphia Union. We've got a guy who's playing for
New York.
whatever team that is.
New York Red Bulls.
You put me on the spot.
think
One of
it
them
is.
is a New York
By the
team. I
way,
think.
in the Pele football shop, they also had New York City's FC's away kit, which is really cool because it's like blue on one side and orange on the other. I was very impressed with that. Anyway, continue on.
Guys playing for Union Berlin.
They're alright,
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
Bundesliga, aren't they?
Yeah, and you're kind of looking at it. They have as big a mismatch as we do in terms of one or two guys playing at quite a high level and the remainder men playing at kind of a guff level. So
We looked like we were happy to be there.
yeah, but that's the attitude. I mean, we are
But that's embarrassing.
we do get
It's like the Jamaican bobsleigh team, John.
yeah,
And the Jamaican bobsleigh team did something
I totally
in the
understand it.
film. Maybe not in reality, but in the film, they did something.
And the one sort of feeling I'm trying my best to suppress
Yes.
is throughout the full kind of 2 weeks with Scotland being there, we are like the wee soft cuddly toy in
It's
Europe.
embarrassing.
It is cringeworthy.
It's embarrassing.
Loved it because it was all the attention.
I mean, yeah, everyone loved the fans. The fans were like, brilliant. We need to have Scotland at every tournament from now on. Yeah,
but you can go home after 2 weeks because we don't really care.
Exactly.
But, yeah,
Exactly.
100%. Come drink our beer, help our economy, and go home. That's it.
This was a missed opportunity. You did what you needed to do against Switzerland.
Yeah.
You really did hamstring yourself in that Germany game, though, because that goal difference was a big barrier. And in the end,
I don't know if 4 points would have done it. It would have been far away.
But with the goal difference, it probably wouldn't have done it, because Hungary didn't do it on 3, and then Ukraine, was it Ukraine? There was a few on 4 that didn't do it as well.
Yeah, there was a few. It was yeah.
So my point is, you are not satisfied with just getting there. This is the best Scotland team in generations, really, since the sort of 98 teams.
Yeah, it's peaked at this stage.
Oh, it has, and it's only going down from here.
Big
so
time.
We had to take that. I don't think Clarke had the right mentality for this. I think he's too stubborn about what he's done here. He's not been very creative with what he's done. He didn't surprise anybody. Everybody had our number, really.
Yeah, I completely and utterly agree. Totally agree. There is just that still wee bit going, yeah, but he got me there. He gave me that best 2 weeks of my life.
Is he going to get you there next time?
No, absolutely not. Like, there's no danger we're going to the World Cup. And
we beat Spain. We're the only team to beat Spain in qualification. If we have that in our locker.
But there was only about 4 Spanish players in the squad.
Radically different.
Yeah, so it's like basically Spain B. We beat Spain B.
And they didn't care because they knew that we were qualifying regardless, with their eyes closed.
Exactly.
So very different. But then we did well against them in Spain as well.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
And some shonky refereeing decisions took that game away from us. And I will say as well, like, I don't think any of these Scotland players had a good season for their club, really. I think, yes, you could say McTominay maybe stood out for Man United. McGinn's probably not coming off his best season with Aston Villa. Maybe not a bad season.
Again, he's kind of playing out of position now where he's playing for Scotland versus where he plays for Villa.
That was so stupid. None of them were involved.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah, I know, but I moaned in the final game of, like, what the heck were they doing with who were the deep midfield or the
Billy Gilmore and Callum McGregor.
So stupid. Like, I don't know. So stupid.
I would disagree with you there because the two of them in the field
did nothing.
I thought Billy Gilmore had a reasonable tournament.
I'm not having that. Everyone
had a good tournament.
Billy Gilmore.
No one had a good tournament, but I thought the difference in the play for Scotland, like in the Germany game when he didn't play,
yes,
and when he played in the 2 games against Switzerland and Hungary,
okay,
world of difference.
What did he do?
Ball retention. For a start.
Yay. Move it forward. Freaking forward.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, the thing is, if he had players in front of him to have that kind of ability.
Yes, that's his thing though. He's great in a great team.
Aye.
And this is the thing that they argue.
never supported them, so why do we not build a team around them?
But then that was their big problem. They could not build play at all. And they didn't know how to build play at all.
Yeah, they had nothing to aim at, basically.
But
Absolutely
then
nothing.
Robertson wasn't bombing. He had a poor tournament. He was not.
He's covering for whatever's behind him. I mean,
Ralston got better.
Ralston did everything he could, and he got.
You shouldn't have been there, but we had no one else.
Exactly.
And he got better. That's all you can,
He played to the best of his ability, which I admit is not a high barrier, but he played to the best of his ability. He done everything he could. You can't fault the guy for that. He's been put in a position that.
No, hold my hands up. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's unfortunate. The other thing as well that kind of irked me a wee bit is the sort of Poppadom wrists of Angus Gunn. I've looked back at that Germany game a couple of times and
I would have dropped him actually.
For who?
Xander Clarke.
Oh God!
Yeah, but
that's even worse.
Yeah, but like
that's even worse.
How do you know that though? How do you know that?
You just know it. You absolutely know it's worse.
I bet Xander Clarke, as a Hearts keeper, faces a fair amount of shots.
Greg Gordon should have came with us.
Well, that would have been even worse. We saw what happened under those circumstances. I felt that the midfield, I got really frustrated seeing McGregor and Gilmore picking up the ball. I would have rather it have been McTominay and McGinn. I think they could have done more, but yes, then they're not as far up the pitch where they have more of an impact. But we weren't having any impact up there anyway.
The thing is, so if you take McTominay and McGinn, yeah, they were absolutely played out of position.
Yes.
They either one starts over the other.
Yeah.
So this is like you're playing your best players as opposed to the best system. Like this kind of 3-5-2 stuff, it just didn't really suit us.
No.
Far too negative. With those guys so far forward, and the way like we're kind of like defending more often than not,
yeah,
you're never going to get the ball up to them. So why not change it? Why not bring them back a little bit?
There was the monumentally stupid thing of McTominay taking corners.
Well, yeah.
What on earth are you playing at?
I feel to believe. I mean, Robertson's delivery can be pretty brutal sometimes, but there's loads of other guys in the park. I mean, I'm sure Billy Gilmore can swing in a corner.
Yes,
Because like the smallest
he's
boy in the
4'2",
park.
exactly.
Yeah, he can swing in a corner. You know, it doesn't have to be hyper accurate. It just needs to get in the box. I mean, you seen what happened when he put a ball into the box against Germany. Got a goal. Granted, it was his own goal, but
vaguely gets it somewhere near.
You know, this is the very thing. McKenna managed to kind of rise up for the header.
Yep.
You know, you just put it in a dangerous area and you don't know what will happen.
But this happened when we went up against Finland. Go for it a wee bit, goal.
Aye.
Against Switzerland, go for it a wee bit, goal.
We turned it on for 10 minutes against Finland. You're right.
So stupid.
And that is frustrating. And I only give Clarke the sort of games in September. And if he can demonstrate that he can change his ways, which I highly doubt he can, but you know, by some miracle he sort of finds a more attacking system, or we get two positive results. That's
not his way. He
I know, but you've got to give him.
He got, like, you know, you go back to his Kilmarnock thing, right? He got the most out of what he had. Has he got the most out of what he had here?
Well, he got us, like
to get us there. Yes, that
100%.
That works. But what you have to bear in mind is, you know, what was the qualification like? 6, 7, 8 games.
So we played 8 games.
So 8 games.
5 in the group.
Are you going to get the same level of effort for qualifying than you are in the tournament?
It's a mentality thing for us.
It's a step up.
It's a step up to when you get to the tournament, because you're now playing the 24 best teams in Europe, and we are 24th in that kind of ranking.
And we've now managed, 2 draws at 2 tournaments, scoring 1 goal in the process?
Yeah.
2. Well, no, I don't count that 1, because Rudiger put it in for us. What was quite sensational.
Yeah, this is it. It's when we've got to that stage, we've not done ourselves justice.
Mm-hmm.
I still go back to the point where we're still there.
I don't think in this next qualification campaign we are.
No, I don't think we will be, but
those last few games we've been at have been poor.
We still, again, it's rose-tinted glasses, but I give Steve Clarke the games in September.
Mm-hmm.
If he can demonstrate by some miracle he can change his ways.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm 95% sure he won't, so I'm with you there. But if he can come out and go, right, okay, I have learned my mistakes, right? Now, this is like,
John.
You know, honestly, it is so hypothetical, it's unreal. He's learned his mistakes. He comes in and goes, right, okay.
How can he learn from his mistakes? He's incredibly experienced at this point, you know.
I know, but I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You know, he comes into we see the squad being announced for the 2 games. Suddenly, like guys like Ben Doak, Tommy Conway, do you want to mention Conor Barron? You know,
depends on how much compensation is agreed at the tribunal.
Yeah, you start to bring in a few fresh faces. There is a few guys who have been in that squad now who are probably ready just to kind of drop out.
Jay Adams,
Kenny McLean,
Lyndon Dykes.
Yeah, you know, probably doubt he'll be fit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he had a great time on the punditry on the sideline, though.
I think he did.
I think I actually preferred that.
You know, like I say, if he can just show a bit of kind of ability to update himself and get the squad kind of refreshed.
Does he have a refresh in him?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I doubt it. I doubt it, but I think you still have to give him the opportunity. You know, what are you going to do? You're going to sack him tomorrow and go, right, well, who am I going to get in for these kind of games?
Don't ask me that question. I don't know. Who
I think you just
who thrown around?
David Moyes is unemployed. There you go.
Again, quite good at getting the most from
bang average
fairly
players.
Average teams, yeah. He would, does. Right, John, you've solved the problem in part. I think, I remember he had a big Barney with Michael Stewart before the tournament began, because Michael Stewart was quite negative, and I think basically told him this isn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, I'm not hearing it, you know. And I don't think that was the right attitude to have. And I think we've embarrassed ourselves at this tournament. So, yeah. But it's the impossible challenge of, you know, we did brilliantly to get there. Fully agree with that. Getting the point against Switzerland, we have to give our thumbs up, you know, in terms of that was a great result. You did not give yourself a good platform after the Germany game. You were out your depth there. The Hungary game is the big disappointment here.
Yeah, massively. And he bottled it 100%. Yes. And it's the same with what happened at Euro 2021. 100%. It is literally last chance ceiling for the guy, because I struggle to think of anyone else who's going to get any more out of that squad, regardless whether it's a more attacking minded coach, whatever. The other big problem we have coming over the horizon, as we kind of touched on earlier, this squad is peaked as well. So whoever comes in, you're going to start working with diminishing players.
Well, you basically, we had no fullbacks to pick from.
Certainly on the right. I mean, like if Ralston's your next best bet, that's a concern.
But even central midfielders, like McGregor has not been fantastic this season, and I don't even know if that was like a loyalty thing. Strikers, there's basically no strikers. We're all importing them from England now. Really, is what we're doing.
Again, this is another frustration. If it doesn't sort of reconcile in September, then I really am going to be he needs to go out the door. Guys like Tommy Conway, and if Ben Doak's fit, he needs to start bleeding them into the team, particularly Tommy Conway. Tommy Conway scored more goals in London Dykes last season.
Yes.
He is a far better striker with a lot more sort of potential as well. You want to start getting that guy involved.
So where do you leave Shankland in that conversation?
Shankland will still be in the squad. I don't think he's still up to the international level.
Sadly, he's also probably peaking.
He is
now and about
peak,
to.
So it's ready to. He's kind of at the sort of top of the crest there.
Yeah.
So you really have to start looking at these guys who are in the kind of under-21s and then start rooting around for the kind of granny rule stuff, basically. That's where we're at, really. This is where we're at.
We're going to be interviewing these players with Northern Irish, Welsh and English accents post-games.
I mean, that is the reality. You're hoping and praying guys like Lewis Ferguson, who are ready to step up. Barely played. Has had
really had an impact when he has played as well.
Is going through had a terrible injury and going through the rehab right now. You have no idea what kind of player he's going to come back.
That's a good point.
That's a real worry. Really, really big worry. You've got Max Johnson out in Austria, who would solve the problem of a right back.
He's also barely played though, has he?
Barely played. So we don't know what's going to come of that. And then you look at guys in this kind of Scottish Premiership, you're looking at, was it Lennon Miller? 19, 20-year-old. Is he going to develop into something decent? Don't know.
Well, saying that, the under-21s have been looking alright, haven't they?
They've been getting slightly better. I mean, this is the thing. So you are looking at the under-21 pool. I don't know how many guys in the current Scotland squad actually played under-21s football for us. I've never ever looked. Don't really care.
Your McGinns and stuff. I don't know if McGinn would have jumped straight from under-19. Because
he would have propelled himself really quite quickly, moving from Hibs down south.
The likes of McGregor probably did.
I mean, London Dykes never played under 21s.
No.
He'd be
Jay Adams
for Australia. Again, that's the granny rule.
Yeah, the keepers at
Angus Gunn, Clarke, Kelly, they never played under 21s. Maybe Kelly did, I don't know, but it's quite difficult to kind of purely look at the under 21 squad and go, Christ, that's what's coming up. There is random people that we will find. We always find them. Doesn't matter what kind of campaign we're in.
Okay, so our future is yet to come. That's what you're saying.
But a refresh is coming and we don't know what that refresh is going to look like. And it's up to Steve Clarke to demonstrate he can maybe find something new.
Alright. I'm surprised how generous and optimistic you've been, but a very level-headed approach, John. And I appreciate that. Move on a wee bit now. Were England ever going to win that final?
No.
The roots are mental though.
Mate,
Italy, Germany.
I wrote this to the result.
And France
it really
versus.
It really gave me a chuckle. Right. So this is coming for the last 16. So if you're looking at sort of Spain's pathway, they beat Georgia 4-1 in the last 16. They then beat Germany 2-1 quarters, and then beat France in the semis.
Yep.
And they also quite a tough group as well. Was it Italy? I think was in their group.
Yeah, I think so.
That kind of thing. So we have in Croatia and Albania.
Brutal.
Absolutely brutal. So 100% they deserve to win the tournament. They had 2 or 3 of the best players at the tournament. I think Yamin Lamal had a great tournament. 17-year-old busting onto the scene.
Will be interesting to see how that goes, because I always feel like when we do this to people, it's very hard to live up to the hype, and these guys usually burn out quite quickly. But the fact that he is gained, it's unfortunate he's at Barcelona, because he could have had a real big
move
transfer.
It's like James Rodriguez almost.
That never panned out. There was always the one player at a tournament that Real Madrid or someone would sign, and it never.
And it's never really, apart from Xavi Simons, who I have no idea who he plays for. He He's the only one that could potentially get a big move for fees.
I think they were saying a lot of them were from Real Sociedad, actually, in the Spain team.
No, right.
Which was quite interesting.
I mean, Tierney was there last season.
What? Panned out,
Brilliant.
Could barely get in that team as well.
Even guys like sort of Danny Olmo, who, if Pedri hadn't been injured, probably wouldn't have seen too much of Danny Olmo.
Yep.
Brilliant tournament. He scored a wonderful goal when he took the touch.
He did.
And to kind of finish in, that was absolutely brilliant. I
was going absolutely berserk at Cucurella, who had kamikazed a challenge earlier to nearly let them through. And I can't remember if he covered himself in glory for the goal. There's a lot of weird marking for that. A tremendous finish by
or Azamayel.
Or no, I'm talking about the England. It wasn't Mount. Was it Cole?
Cole Palmer's for the edge of the box.
Cole Palmer.
Good layoff and then great finish. To give them credit, to get back to the original point, if England had had a better manager, I think they would have won it.
I couldn't
particularly given that route. He would have rotated his squad a lot more.
Yep.
He would have kept some of the real key players like Bellingham and guys like that.
He was not impressed. I didn't really.
A little bit more. I
would actually say throughout the whole tournament, the big names like Mbappe and stuff didn't really show up. To be fair, Mbappe had his issues. A broken nose. But the people you're talking about there in terms of your Lamal and Olmo and stuff, you wouldn't have pinpointed them. And I'm not saying Carvajal and Morata still played well, but are definitely being outshone by these other guys. So I think it's interesting. It wasn't really a tournament for stars. It was more
the up and coming. And the kind of fading star of Ronaldo and
Faf.
Those kind of guys.
I think watching the final, I was thinking about it after. I was like, why didn't England win that game? Because they have been really good at coming back from behind and stuff and waking up and going, we need to go for that. And under pressure, they've done well in extra times and penalties and stuff, which previously they didn't do. So there's progress there. They just couldn't get hold of possession in the same way that Spain could.
There was a style thing.
Yeah, but then I never thought Spain were all that effective with their possession most of the time. And most of the time, Walker had his winger handled.
Nico Williams, I think, was playing on against him.
Williams Jr. or something like that. And then Shaw had the measure of Lamal, who didn't really look much of a threat. And the only time they did is if they kind of got in funky positions that are away for those. They certainly looked more direct, and I think that was maybe the thing, is they were a little bit too frantic to try and get forward, and they'd lose it. Because I thought Spain's defence could be honking at times.
Looking back at it again, I watched it with the covers basically over my head. I was panicking they were actually going to do it. It looked like England were playing the Spain of 2012 because they stood off them so much. Allowed Spain to
I don't think we're ever going to see a team better
than that. Yeah,
that and the Barcelona team from that time. Yeah, we're never going to see that level of football ever again. But anyway.
Absolutely not. Like I say, if they had a better manager, if they had been able to kind of rotate this is England, some of their star players like Kane just looked dreadful throughout. He looked exhausted. He looked mentally shattered. Tremendous viewing, really, absolutely peak. The meltdown from Bellingham at the end of the game, tremendous.
He doesn't seem to have made himself that popular in his own camp, by the sound of things either.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, so my sort of guilty pleasure the last couple of days
you've loved this
has been listening to TalkSport.
Okay.
Consistent meltdowns, one after the other. It doesn't matter who's on, if it's Jason Cundy, if it's I forget the other guy's name. Is Adrian Durham.
Okay.
He's on it quite a lot. These guys are just, it's continual. And last night in particular was an absolute screamer about Bellingham basically irritating the camp. He never does press conferences. Or maybe he doesn't like talking to the media. That puts lots of pressure on everyone else to go and speak to the media. He only ever speaks to Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Right.
When they're doing their kind of pre-match wander around the pitch. The only person he talks to.
Right, okay.
So what does that suggest? Does he not mingle too well with the rest of the squad? I think if I was him and you're kind of you've came out of Real Madrid and you're looking at probably the way Real Madrid conduct themselves and with the manager that he responds to and Ancelotti versus coming to the England squad, which I imagine there is a few kind of mental characters in about there.
Ivan Toney
freaking
staring down keepers.
Even like guys like Declan Rice, I bet you that's an absolute pantomime.
Pickford's a nutter as well.
Pickford, I mean, I totally understand if he doesn't want to interact with these guys. He's coming from a place of culture in Madrid, and he's basically rocking up to what is like a collection of folk from Essex.
Like, that's what you're there to work with. You can't just distance yourself and say, nah, this is not going to work.
But for whatever reason, if that indeed is true, that he's not integrated with the squad, that's fascinating. It speaks to the levels of what happens at England versus what happens at Real Madrid, which is probably a lot higher. And that maybe comes from not having a as respectable manager.
But they all sing his praises in the press conferences, which I always...
They suck up to him because they want to get into the squad.
Well, that's always what I thought as well.
He's just a yes man.
Well, he's gone now. I don't think for someone who's been the under-21 manager, I don't think he's done that bad a job.
He's done a great job.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. I mean, 2 finals, a semi-final. They've actually won a penalty shootout here and there. These kind of things, absolutely, it's progress. He's failed in a lot of respects in terms of maybe not releasing the talent that's there in an attacking sense.
Yeah.
If you want to play devil's advocate to that, it's because the defence, England's defenders are woeful, and they're only going to get worse. I mean, that's probably Kyle Walker's last tournament.
Yeah.
Depending
on court proceedings.
Yeah. Guay had a decent tournament. Harry Maguire's not up to much.
He wasn't even in the squad, was he?
Aye.
Was he not getting married or something?
Luke Shaw, he's only like an injury away for kind of ruining his career. Trippier's probably going to be dropping out soon. I can't stand Pickford at all. That was probably the best bit of everything, is just watching him greet. Tremendous.
He's very animated for someone who could have done a wee bit better on some shots in the tournament. I would say
he's not a good goalkeeper, but that is probably why Southgate's probably had to sort of consider playing that a little bit deeper, playing that a little bit more defensive, is to protect these guys because they're not up to that kind of standard of the attacking talent.
Well, he's gone now. Are you going to keep Eddie Howe at Newcastle, do you think?
You're Eddie Howe, what do you do? Do you stay or do you go? You might get sacked by October.
That's the thing. Newcastle's actually quite difficult because you have all the money, but you can't actually spend it because they've been very diligent actually in keeping in this financial fair play. And the problem is, I'm sure I saw Man City have already sold £50 million worth in players just by shipping young players off. And Newcastle aren't quite there with the academy system to do that, to be able to cheat the system in this way yet. So he's maybe thinking, right, we had a good Champions League run, I've kind of done all I can do here.
Yeah, absolutely.
This doesn't come up very often.
It's by how much good grace does he have?
Good headline there, John.
If I was Eddie Howe, what would I do? To be honest, I would probably stay in Newcastle for the reason. The next England manager to come in
is going to make such a rear end of it.
They have to win a trophy. That is the logical next step for them to progress.
Yes.
The pressure on that will be phenomenal. You're as well letting somebody like Graham Potter come in, absolutely balls up some kind of competition, whether it's the Nations League or World Cup qualification, and then you come in.
I did see, and I don't know if this was wind up or whatever, but Jeff Stelling, do you see this? And Paul Merson were on our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about Frank Lampard and how his experience of getting papped out of tournaments would be very helpful. And I read the comments, and the comments were hilarious because they were saying what you would think, and like, what are you talking about? Like, this man's not a good manager. He's just bad. Why are you wanting someone? I think a lot of people are crying out for not Lampard, not Gerrard.
Like, you get two of them, and for once, England will be able to have a kind of... They'll be able to get both of them into the same team.
I did see someone put up a photoshopped image of saying, the Italian Samio Aladiscio has been considered, which I thought was quite amusing.
Jump on the gravy train.
Indeed.
To be honest, I think it will be Graham Potter. I think he will get it. He's free. He's probably a bit of a yes man for the FA, which Gareth Southgate absolutely has been.
Oh yeah.
He's
not getting that Man United job anymore, is he?
Definitely not.
So I don't know if he's got in line because
Klopp showed it out. I cannot for the life of me expect a German or an Argentinian to manage England. The optics of that would be pretty awkward. There was talks of, I think Guardiola's contract at Man City runs out in 25. They might wait until then and then try and get Guardiola into the England job. I don't think he would do that.
I don't think he would like international management.
No, I don't think it suits him. He'll end up going back to Spain or Germany or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Retire. You've done everything.
And in a weird way, I think your national team manager should be the same nationality as the country.
If you can't, I mean, was it not Willie Sagnol was the manager of Georgia or Albania or something like that?
He's the Georgian manager. Yep.
So, like, you know,
It does, I mean, countries do it, but I think if you're
Shaba Laszlo, who was it? No, who was it we had?
Bertie Vogts.
Bertie Vogts.
Yeah.
Sorry, why am I thinking Shaba Laszlo?
Oh.
Great harsh manager.
Offer a tangent with Bertie Vogts.
Where are we going there?
Went to the German Football Museum in Dortmund, and there's loads of stuff about Bertie Vogts.
Really?
About like winning
That's got to be a trolling effort or something.
all these kind of tournaments with West Germany, I think it was at the time. It's like, oh yeah, he's the bloke that failed miserably and like drew 2-2 with the Faroes after being 2-0 down. Like he was responsible for one of the lowest crowds ever at Hampden for an international game. Like,
No, that could change soon. Oh well, there we go. If you want more Bertie Vogts memorabilia, head to the German Football Museum in Dortmund.
Which is actually really good.
I believe you. Speaking of historical kits, John, whilst on holiday in Orlando, Florida, fantastic place by the way, I did note that on the daily you were able to recognise geographically where your compatriots in Disneyland and Disney World and various places were from, because they'd be repping their football kits.
Good.
Now at the Euros, of course, everyone will be wearing, you know, team colours and things like that. And I was like, I didn't bring an Aberdeen top on holiday, I didn't bring a Falkirk top on holiday. I'm like, you know. But funny enough, I did bring some Toronto Blue Jays stuff that I bought when I was in Toronto last year. So I had a cap, I had a t-shirt, and I was accosted one day by a random who's like, Blue Jays? And I kind of looked at him weirdly. I was like, yeah. And he's like, you got to be a Yankees fan, man. Yankees. But to be fair, the Blue Jays are not having a good season, as far as I can tell. But I thought that was actually quite nice that you had that interaction because of what you were wearing. Because previously I saw a lot of families perhaps wearing a lot of Celtic kits every day. And it was Da, it was Ma, and it was wee mental Jimmy wearing, you know...
What hotels were you in?
It wasn't, you know... so mainly Celtic kits, few Rangers kits. There were 2 Falkirk kits that were spotted. Motherwell was one. There was an Aberdeen kit. There was a St Johnstone polo shirt I spotted as well. So a few of these. My brother was wearing his Scotland top one day, and I think an Australian guy was like, oh, tough Euros, mate. Tough Euros. Yeah. That's a terrible impression. And I was like, tough life is what I said. Then walked off. He kind of didn't know what to do with that negativity. But as someone who's quite pessimistic about wearing your top on tour, it was actually quite a nice like conversation starter. So I wanted to sort of gather your thoughts on what you, because there was a few Falkirk tops intermingled with the Scotland tops and things like that as well. Did you get any reaction for those out of Germany at all?
So the worst one was, I think it was my second last day. I was in Dortmund. I'd been to the German Football Museum. I wore my kind of retro Falkirk white top.
Right.
It was basically the last top left that I took with me.
That's what gets me about this as well. If you're on holiday for 2 weeks, how you got 14 different football kits to wear day in day
I
and day?
think it was 16 with me, like just to wear. I didn't wear anything other than a football top for
I think a few people have bought like 3 of the same top to wear on consecutive days, because a lot of new Celtic tops that I was like...
They probably had. I was in a quite a nice like shopping centre in Dortmund, and the weather was unbearably hot. So I'm wandering around and there's they recover Sports Direct. I was like, I'll bet you any money they'll have random kits in your on sale. There was nothing. But a couple of Jambos walked in and walked past me and just clocked it and went, oh dear, and just walked back out. It's like, it's not that bad.
It's funny what you see, isn't it? It's funny what you see.
It was bizarre. The curious bit was, so Gary wore, our friend Gary wore the Heritage Falkirk top.
I saw one of those in Florida as well and nearly fell off my chair.
Terrific top. It's one of the best made in a long time. He wore that in Munich for the game, which got a lot of attention.
Did it?
A lot of attention for people. And it was like Scotland fans coming over and going, oh, you're for Falkirk, and you know, who do you support and all that. So I think we had spoke to pretty much every other provincial club in Scotland when we were there. Weirdly, no Rangers fans at all. Spoke to 41 plus different kind of club.
Well, they'll be occupying Hampden before you know it, John.
Oh, aye. Ironic or what?
I know.
I was weird in talking to Celtic fans. Dunfermline fans, weirdly enough. We had bumped into a guy. There was a dad there with his 2 sons. His dad the dad was a Dunfermline fan, whose sons were Wraith Rovers fans.
Ooh.
I was like,
Ooh.
what happened? That was strange.
Moved across the M90 at some point.
You know, a boy with an Arbroath tattoo on his calf.
Did you see the picture of the bloke at I think it was America, were playing Uruguay in Miami?
Oh, with
and he had the Brecon City top on. And it wasn't just any Brecon City top.
That was a retro top.
It was a freaking cool one as well. And they zoomed in on this guy, and it's like, Scottish fans seemed to get everywhere. That was very cool.
That was fantastic. I mean, like I say, he spoke to with everybody, kind of mingled, and it was like a magnet. He's like, oh, Falkirk, and it was like
conversation starter.
Yeah, it's conversation like this, banter, it's all a good laugh, and you know, you can kind of like basically exchange notes of how your season went. We bumped into a couple of Inverness fans, of loads of Aberdeen fans.
Right. I saw a lot of buses were going from all over the Highlands. There seems to be loads of Scotland fans there.
It was just that part was great, and it kind of gives you a bit of kind of local identity. You support your local team, and you're there supporting your country, and everybody kind of comes together. Yeah, it is the only time that should ever happen. Is overseas. Well,
but I find that really nice, because I think about like that Toronto Blue Jays interaction when the guys like, you should support the Yankees. If I did that and saw someone at a Dunfermline top, I was like, Dunfermline, you should support Falkirk. That interaction goes very differently.
Yeah, you get battered.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Most streets. So it is nice that people are kind of having, and it is that sort of carousel of football, and that everyone you bump into is there for the same purpose.
Well, this is it. I mean, I'm kind of using Munich as the example because it probably was the best sort of interaction that we kind of really kind of had, because there was a lot of German supporters kind of kicking about, and they were as interested to speak to you about your club as you were to speak to them. I mean, a kind of weird in-depth conversation with a couple of Freiburg fans who were down for the game.
I saw Dresden top in Florida as well. That was one of the more unique ones. Yeah,
very right wing, but it's a nice top. Like,
I don't know, didn't know they had good wingers.
I mean, the Freiburg guy was great. It was basically like Scheiße Bayern. That was all they were talking about.
Delightful.
Which was just really, really funny, because you were in Munich, you know. It's like everybody but Munich. And I was like, like everybody but RB Leipzig, and then I just put him on a tirade of like how terrible they are as a club. Just like brilliant fun. That part was really, really good. Yeah, Cologne, we basically just took over. Like, I never spoke to a German at all in Cologne.
They wouldn't have been out and about in the same way.
Nah, and Stuttgart was a bit funny in that there wasn't really a kind of main square for us for everybody kind of integrate to begin with.
Right.
And then they opened up a fan park at 4 o'clock, which was supposed to only hold about 3,000 or 4,000.
Aye.
Like, no barriers or anything. Kind of, it must have been about 15,000, 16,000 Scotland fans all rammed into this place. Thankfully, me and Darren left and just kind of left Gary to it, really.
Okay, he managed by.
But again, in that scenario, very little sort of Germans sort of kicking about and trying to interact, that we've seen anyway, because they were obviously all focused on their own game. The game in Munich was a Friday as well, so I imagine a lot of guys were off work.
Yeah.
You know, Cologne Wednesday, it's a working day. All these guys kicking about in suits doing their commute.
Oh, right.
And it's just like steaming Scots kicking about
on
their morning commute. Like, that was really, really funny.
That works out. Weirdly, in Florida, it was because of, Copa America, it was basically Scots and South Americans, because of the way the school holidays work out. There was a lot of Scottish people, and there was a lot of South Americans. So I did see a lot of Columbia kits, weirdly forcing their way into attractions and things. No, they weren't doing that. That's
they just did that at the Hard Rock Cafe stadium.
Lots of Argentina kits. Boo, don't like Argentina.
From Argentina?
Oh, they're big cheats, aren't they? They are big cheats. What did I see? A lot of is it Palmeiras? Is the Brazilian Palmeiras?
Oh, kind of like a green top, yeah.
That was probably the biggest one I saw, which was quite surprising. No, like, Boca or like Sao Paulo or anything like that. So that was definitely the biggest one.
No, like in Orlando tops, Miami tops.
One or two. Oh, there's loads of Inter Miami tops. There was. But quite a lot of fake Inter Miami tops.
Funny that.
Not a lot of real ones. A lot of Messi. Weirdly, like some Al Hilal, like Neymar tops as well.
Right.
Fake, though. Because I don't really know if you can get real ones very easily. I can't imagine you can. So yeah, it was interesting. A lot of PSG kits as well. That still seems to be the sort
fashionable
of darling of the fashionistas. My brother was repping Scotland when he got a few comments about us being terrible. And he was wearing his Split New Falkirk kit one day as well, and I wore Toronto Blue Jays and NASA stuff, because that's, that's what I do. Right, anyway, I think that probably about rounds us off then, John, does it?
I was just about at the hour mark, so we've probably bored everyone to tears.
Probably. If we come back on again, we'll probably talk about the Premier Sports Cup, will we?
Oh, back to the domestic drag, are we?
Well, hey, you won at the weekend. Was that not exciting?
That was actually pretty good. I mean, again, I don't want to go with a deep dive into how terrible Dundee United are, but if I was
you can't really say much from this. Is still glorified friendlies, though, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, they were particularly bad.
Oh well, at least it carried through to the Ayr game midweek. Oh no, it didn't. And that's your league competition, so we'll see how that goes. So we'll discuss that and the ongoing Steve Clarke saga and all the other good news around Scottish football. Maybe get a little bit more about the Copa America tournament in there. But if you have enjoyed this episode, remember to like and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening and are watching on. But it's a thank you from me, Paul.
Yep, cheers guys, all the best.
And we'll hopefully see you again next week. Have a good evening, a good afternoon and a good morning. Goodbye.